Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into something every flight simulator enthusiast dreams about, which is upgrading their setup with the top of the line equipment. And in today's video, I'm going to walk you through the process of what I had to do to order the cockpit from CPflight.com, the ordering process, requesting a quote, paying for it, how long it took to get here, delivery, unboxing, and of course the software that I used or they have to use to actually run the cockpit, in addition to some additional software that I usually install, whether you have this cockpit or not, but just some additional software that you install just to add to the overall experience and realism of flying in a 737. So let's get into it. Okay, so first things first. In front of me is the CPflight website, which is the website that I purchased the equipment from. There are a lot of companies out there that do sell you flight sim hardware, whether it is a full-blown cockpit or boards to build your own, or plug-and-play devices that you USB cable, just plug it in, everything works. But the reason why I landed on CPflight is because of the reviews, how long they've been in business, and the quality of the hardware that they sell, and of course their support, and they stand behind their product. There are other companies out there. They seem good. I haven't had any experience with them. Some companies, for example, I tried not to buy everything from CPflight. I said maybe I'll buy, for example, the motorized throttle from some other website because it's like $2,000 cheaper, for example, or 2,000 euros cheaper, for example. But then as I read reviews about those other companies, either the support is not there, you'll get the hardware, it may work for a couple months, and then if you need help, if you need support, and then guess what? You're out of luck. So because of that, and knowing that sure I'm going to be paying more money for the hardware. For example, the motorized throttle, for example, you can find it from other websites for like 2,000 to 3,000 euros cheaper than what CPflight has it. But again, for the reasons that I mentioned, I decided, you know what, I'm not going to go through this. As much as I can, I'm going to order everything from CPflight and just have it work as one coherent solution. I did not order the yoke and I did not order the rudder because I had those already. The good thing about these two is I had them from a very reputable company, very well built, and they're just USB plugins, so plug and play. So it wasn't that much of a deal not getting those from CPflight, and I already had them, like I mentioned. But if you look at their website, you can buy things separately by product. They only have a 737 Max and 737 and the A320 series. That's all they sell. That's all they deal with. You can buy bits and pieces if you want to. You don't have to buy the whole cockpit. You can buy whatever you want, the MCPs, radios, the FIS, whatever you need. In my case, they also have the cockpit. So you can buy a full-blown 737 cockpit or A320 cockpit if you have the room for it. I did not buy that because I do not have the room for it. But the good thing is that if you go and buy the single seat, you can always upgrade it and get the full cockpit. So in my case, I went with the 737 single seat. And you can see here, it's starting around 10,450 euros, and that basically does not include the motorized throttle, does not include the seat, does not include the overheads, the overhead panels. So this is basically what you get. What you see here in the picture is what you get for that price, for the 10,450 euros. But the way that's going to work is you cannot order directly from their website. You're going to have to click on request a quote, and then you'll start communicating via their office, with their office via email. I went a lot back and forth. Initially, I just wanted to get some bits and pieces because I had a cockpit built myself, made out of wood, MDFs. And I could maybe just get the some of the pieces, the MCPs, the FIS, maybe the CDUs or the lever right here, the landing gear. So, but then as I kept thinking about it, going back and forth, I decided, you know what, I am just going to get the whole thing. Let CPflight take care of building it for me, and I don't want to tinker with it or play with it. I just want to get it down, set it up, install it once, and just never touch it again and just enjoy it. And that's what I did. Okay, so here's the quote that I got from CPflight. Like I mentioned, I went a lot of back and forth with them till I finally landed on this quote. I asked them for different setups or different quotes, and this is basically what I finally landed on. Because, like I mentioned, I just wanted the best. I don't want to tinker around with it. I just want to build it once, and then just enjoy flying whenever I need to, and not always worry. Oh, I'm missing this or I'm missing that. Nope, I get the full experience. So if you take a look, if you remember what I told you about the 737NG, that for the 10,450 euros or something close to that, you only get what you don't get the overhead panel, for example. You don't get the throttle or motorized throttle. So what you get is this aluminum frame with the HDMI screens, with the panel, lighting controls, the MCP, the EFIS. The glare side, the tiller, and that's basically it. And of course, the brake panel right here, the auto brake and all that. That's basically it. So you don't get the throttle, you don't get the rudder, you don't get the yoke, and you don't get the overhead panels, the AFT or the overhead panel. You don't get any of that. So just going with this alone, if you look at the quote, you are not going to, unless you have your own yoke, and if you have your own yoke and you have your own rudder, then you're ready to go. You can get it, and you'll be able to set it up, and you are ready to go. Of course, we're still need to talk about the software to run this, but assuming that you have the software, and we'll talk about that software, then you're ready to go. You can start a flight, and you can enjoy it. But just paying that much, the 10,470 or the 10,760 in my case, euros, it's not going to get you flying if you do not have a yoke on a rudder. I did not include the yoke on a rudder, like I mentioned, because I already have those separately. So I did not buy those. So also the seat is separate. So this is in addition to that. I got the seat, which is another 3,800 euros. Then I got the motorized quad throttle. I've got the overhead panels, both of them, the AFT and the FWD, and I also got the covers for them. You need the covers if you're not interested in buying the full-blown cockpit. Then you're gonna need the cover. If you're gonna put it as a standalone, you're gonna need the cover, because if you're buying the full cockpit, then of course you don't need the cover, because they're gonna be hidden inside the cockpit. And what else? And of course, all of this, I got the pedestal bay, the nav, the comm, the ATM, the radios, the ATC, the trim, the fire, the cargo, the WXR, Cellcal, all of these, some of the devices that come in the pedestal bay on the side. Yep. And if like I mentioned, you can also go to their website and you can buy things individually. So if you already have some kind of a setup and you're just interested in buying some components, then you can do that. But you got to be careful. There's a lot of daisy chaining that happens with the CPflight equipment. So even if you buy some of these devices, they're not just going to work. They're not just going to be plug and play and some kind of a USB connection to your PC. No, you're going to have to buy their MCP. Most of the devices, most of the other components, they connect to the MCP. It's daisy chained all the way to the MCP. So they will not run without the MCP. So if you ever decide to go with CPflight, make sure you do have, or you buy an MCP first, because it's basically what controls everything. Yep. And that's basically the ordering process. You go back and forth with the CPflight, and if you can tell here, all of this, a full-blown cockpit, that you're not going to say, oh, I'm missing this or I'm missing this, I can't try this or I can't try that. Nope, you get the full-blown experience. It's 32,000 euros, 32,468 euros. Now, that does not include shipping. That does not include customs. and all the services, all the customs has to do, and taxes, of course. So, and that does not include the software that you need to run this. So shipping cost me on a boat about 3,000 euros. It cost me to get that ship to the US. And then once I hired a company, I hired a contractor to do all of the customs work. That they at the end, so they released it. So they do all the work. You don't pay them up front. They do all the work. I got it delivered, and after a couple of weeks, I think, I got a bill from them, and that bill was about $4,500. Um, so yeah, so you gotta add, in addition to the price that you see here, you gotta add the $4,500 or whatever the custom fees are gonna be for your region, and shipping, which is in my case, like I said, is 3,000 and 4,500 for the customs, and then you have to buy the software, which is ProSim, and we'll go a little bit deeper into ProSim, and ProSim is about 1,500 euros. So all in all, is you're looking at something about the 40,000 euros. Sorry for the low tone there. My wife was, in the background and walking around my room next to the room, so I did not want her to hear the 40K number. But yeah, I placed the order on, so once we aligned on the quote and I paid on February 10, 2025. And then it takes them about a month and a half to build it from scratch. And I received it at my door on June 10. So that's a couple months to get it. So as you can see in the video, it comes in a very, very nice crate, very well packaged, a lot of wood around, a lot of material and backing to ensure that it doesn't get damaged because it comes via boat, so and it goes for a lot of stuff. So it is very, very well maintained, very well shipped and packaged. I got the package. They dropped it inside my garage, and now it was time for me to unbox it and see what's inside. Okay, so once we got it into the garage, it did take some time to actually unbox this thing. Like I mentioned, it's really, really well packaged. Screws everywhere. There's no way to break this easily, and even the wood is very, very thick. So very, very well packaged into this. So I had to, unloosen the screws from the top, from the sides, from the bottom, from all ends. It took a while to unbox it, but finally it gets unboxed, and you can see here is the cockpit. So here is a setup in my game room. We had to actually take it from the garage and get it all the way to the second floor. So as you can imagine, it was not a simple task because what I needed to do, I needed to disconnect the chair. There's some screws that I had to disconnect. So remove the chair, remove the pedestal bay, remove the throttle, remove the actual cockpit, and these were already removed, so we just needed to make sure the overhead panels were already removed. So we just needed to make sure we bring them upstairs, and then of course we have the metal floor at the bottom. So we had to get all of these piece by piece separated and brought up upstairs. I had two guys come and help me. Even with one guy, that would have been hard, so to support me. So I had to get two of my friends to help me move all of this upstairs to the second floor. The beauty of this, that even if you disconnect all of these one piece at a time, it is not even hard to put them back together. If you remember in one of the initially in the video, what I mentioned is that you will need, in a way that's called, you need the brain, that MCP. You're going to need that MCP. So don't expect to buy the pedestal bay for example, by itself, and figure out just gonna work. It's gonna be plug and play, and just it's gonna work if you don't have CPflight's MCP. So you're gonna need CPflight's MCP, and everything else daisy chains next to it. So for this pedestal bay, it only had two connections that are going into it. It has a power connection, and it had one connector to the MCP, and everything else within it are daisy chains to each other. The throttle, it was just a USB connection and a power cable. And the overhead panels, it was only an Ethernet cable and a power cable. You cannot buy the smaller overhead panel on its own and also expect to use it and expect it to work. No, these two work together. So you can buy the big one, of course, separately and use it. That'll work. But the smaller one, it will not work if you don't have the big one, because the smaller one goes through the Ethernet connection to the bigger one. So yes, so you gotta be careful what you buy. Feel free to ask any questions. I'll be more than happy to help you and guide you if you're planning to go with the CPflight route. But yeah, like I said, we brought everything here. We actually connected it, and if you take a look at the back of this, it has one power cable. This is all the connections that are coming out of it. One power cable, the HDMI's for the screens, for the three screens, and an Ethernet cable and a USB to the PC. Now, inside there is a USB hub. That's why you only have one USB cable coming out. That's actually coming out from the hub into the computer, and you have one Ethernet cable because there's also an Ethernet switch that sits inside, and all the Ethernet connections connect to it, and you take one Ethernet out into my network switch that I have right there. All the power connectors at the bottom. That's why you have only one power connection on top. Everything else is housed inside. So you have a clean look on the back, not a whole lot of connections. And to the PC, the beauty of it is you have one USB connection to the PC. You have one for the yoke, and you have one for the rudder, and that should be it, at least from this system right here. Yeah. And what I also decided to do, since I revamped my whole flight sim setup, is I also replaced my 3-monitor setup. 3-monitor stand. This one is made by SimFab. It's a bit on the pricey side. I think it's like $700 or so. But the made of this is so solid, and the flexibility of arranging the screens and moving them up and down, left and right, is so flexible and so much easier compared to the next level racing ones that I have here. I'm also planning on replacing the next level racing one to match this. I'm gonna get the same one as this. And why am I doing this on the next level racing? Because I'm decided I am going to disconnect all of this, and I'll upgrade my motion to become a 6DOF. So eRacing Lab actually just launched an upgrade kit to their RS Ultimate solution, which is basically the 5DOF that includes the surge and the traction loss, and now it becomes a 6DOF. So now you have 2 traction loss of front and rear and surge. So I'm gonna upgrade to that, and I'll have a series on that. So while at it, I decided, you know what, I'm just gonna get the same 3-monitor stand, because I love this one compared to the next level racing one that I have. So yes, that's basically where we are. The next set of videos is going to be more on the software, the setup, how everything runs, and we'll do a flight from start to finish and show you guys how to program everything in the system, and just taking off and enjoying it.